welcome to another astounding Breezin with Bierman. We have so much to talk about. As you know, the show is shifting slowly. Less guests, less work for me. And I think we're more interesting when we have group discussions and everything. What do you think?
Adam, why are you still wearing your Halloween costume?
His line, I don't. But
Yeah.
I don't.
You're dressed as a nose.
If I knew anyone was watching, I might be embarrassed, but I don't even know who's watching. I blame the powers that
No
be.
one is watching.
I want you to storm. Don't worry about I don't want to sit in at Nassau Hall, which is happening. Well, I think they resolved that. Mostly black, students were sitting in at Nassau Hall to protest racism of some kind. I want to sit in here at Princeton TV and demand that people actually know this station exists.
Yeah,
That's what I want.
Good luck.
Or burn it down. Oh, good luck. Okay, we have Vivian Schneidman, usually the chief medical correspondent.
Yeah.
Could not make it today. She had family reasons.
Yeah, she died of autoerotic asphyxiation.
That was David Carradine. But I think you have to have priorities. Family problems. What's more important? The show. At least in my mind. But it's all about me. But reaching into our long list of guests, again, we have great guests, but no one knows because no one knows about the show, because no one knows about Princeton TV. Am I hitting on that topic again and again? I think you see my frustration.
What is your name again?
White bitch, I've been called. We have our chief co-host.
Let's just shorten that to bitch.
And Vivian Schneidman, when you do watch this, I just want you to know it's noted that you made a choice. Vivian made a choice. And with the choice,
it's a smart choice.
There's consequences.
What happened? She watched the show?
Could be true.
It made her sick.
So I'm glad on short notice we plugged one of our more popular guests. Actually, the few people who watch the show that I know watch the show said she liked when she's on and liked the give and take. We have Dr. Stacy Hoffer, psychotherapist, holistic.
You know, I have to say I'm not a doctor.
Well, I said doctor anyway. In my mind, you are.
I'm not a doctor, but I play one on TV.
Exactly,
Right.
right. But I'm not officially.
In a way, you're a doctor to me, though. But you have that gravitas.
Yes.
The doctor
well, thank you.
And everything. And
Thank
you're
you.
here today. So I'm glad that you can make it. And Vivian, you're replaceable
Oh, no.
and stuff, even though you were late.
I was late. It's true.
What, you getting your hair done?
Well, I need a hair and makeup person. I had to do it all myself, hence the
I don't have that
lateness.
problem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you have it. You could
Yeah,
just pick a cool hat.
Are you
We're
Jewish?
fine.
I love your nails, kind of.
No, I'm just I was in the drugstore the other day and I was waiting for a prescription and I decided to try on some nail polish. So I have a couple of nails painted today.
Adam likes to ask hard-hitting questions.
That's a very hard-hitting question, Adam, asking a woman about her hair, makeup, and her nails.
The hair is kind of nice, but the nails.
Yeah, the
kinda
nails
worse
are
than
weird.
mine.
Yeah, no, they're bad.
Hey, Adam is wondering why no one watches the show.
Oh, maybe this is why, because...
Getting to the show, though, someone who's hard-hitting and deals with complex emotional issues
Yes.
come in, and I'm upset that you never share with me the names of your patients, which was interesting. What do you do without that?
Huey, Dewey,
Do
and
you ever
Louie.
feel like you might devalue yourself or lose people? Have you ever seen on this show and with some of the comments I make and that maybe you aren't deemed as sensitive?
Well, I think that, people understand that there's a lot of humor here.
Hopefully.
Right.
I'm hated, though, believe it or
You're
not.
hated?
I found it weird. I just find it sad that people actually take the time to hate something. There's more important things to hate. But I've been told by some people they hate.
It's more like they're bored with you.
Anyway, you're here. One, you have a new book.
I do. I have actually my first book. And this came out of working with children, doing play therapy with kids and working with families and parents, and also being a mom of 2 boys. And the book is called I Hate to Read. And there are an awful lot of kids who struggle with reading. You don't have to have dyslexia or ADHD to be challenged with reading and to get really frustrated with it. So this is a kid's picture book for ages 6 through 9, and it's interactive, which is very exciting. It's going to include a sound chip, and there's a little chant that I invite the kids to do while they're going through the book.
What's the sound chip? I mean, what do you mean? They hit something and...
Yeah, there's a button. So there's different times that the kids and the parents will read this book to the children, and it'll be illustrated. But there's times when they're asked to say, "Oh, are you frustrated? Stop and hit this button."
Is this like unique? Has no one else thought of this?
I think it's unique. I mean, I haven't seen it anywhere at
I
all. I mean, and it's not a therapy book per se. It's a fun, whimsical, entertaining book. But what it does is it validates children. who say, I hate to read, I hate math. The second one I'm writing is called I Hate Math. But it really validates how do they really feel, and it also gives them a way to express their emotions that's appropriate, right?
Are there more problems today with getting kids to read than, say, 40 or 50 years ago?
I don't know. I don't know how to answer that because I'm not an educator. I feel like a teacher should answer that for you. I don't know.
Why do kids not like to read? Or just what turns them off?
Well, I think that there's a variety of things that can turn kids off to reading. And
television.
Well, of course. I mean, video games are more fun. Television is more fun. Sometimes they're competing with a sibling and they feel inferior to a sibling who's maybe a year or two ahead in school. Some kids get anxious, and then they have trouble reading. And then there's our standard, dyslexia, other learning differences, as Mrs. Marsha Lewis says at the Lewis School, learning differences, different wiring of the brain, makes it really challenging for some people to learn to read, even though they're brilliant people.
I mean, kids are so computer literate.
Right.
But does it translate to literacy?
I don't know. Because I deal more with the emotional fallout of whatever they're trying to do.
Right. Having this chip, you think by validating that will let them get out emotions and say, hey, and then let's get back to reading and make it, they'll want to read more then?
No, I'm not trying to make them want to read more. What I'm doing is I'm dealing with an issue that I've seen for years as a psychotherapist, which is a lot of parents don't let their kids use the word hate. They say hate's too strong a word. It's not a nice word. I don't want to hear you say you hate that, right? Okay. And so
why not to do that? Hate? No, that's too strong.
If the kid says they love something, no parent shuts them down on that. But if they say they hate it, there's a lot of like, oh no, don't. You're
going to be extreme. We're going to have an intolerant person.
It's bad, right? Yeah. And so what happens is when kids are really truly frustrated with reading or math, they need to say they hate it.
They don't like the right.
And mom and dad need to know that that's normal and that's fine, and validate that you're frustrated. It's really reading can really not be fun and really difficult. And so now, the parents and the kids can learn a way to really express their emotions appropriately.
So just be honest, like why you hate, and then you can discuss maybe why you hate it, but validate it first, and then listen to why. Right,
validate it, and if they want to talk about why, that's fine. I mean, this book is really humorous because the parent, remember, it's a picture book for children 6 to 9, so parents are reading the book to them, they're looking at the pictures, and so a lot of it is very entertaining and whimsical, right? Like instead of reading, I would rather...
You say, we haven't seen the book
I would rather invite a kangaroo to tea or imitate a chimpanzee, for example.
Oh, that's kind of whimsical. Yeah,
okay,
funny.
So there's a rhyme.
is mainly on the plane.
Well, yes, I hope it's a little better than that.
But this imagery, it sticks with you. It's catchy.
Right, and there's one for each letter of the alphabet. And so what happens is, as the parent's reading, of course, what they're doing is they're reading to their child, which is wonderful to do. They're going to be laughing. They're going to be having fun looking at these silly pictures.
There's modeling too. They show in a moment modeling.
Right, and then when the child, when and if the child feels frustrated, there's this outlet. And what happens is it transfers to other situations, right? Because when parents have done this with this book with their kids, like, okay, so then next week the child is frustrated doing their homework. Mom and dad can say, hey, remember that stomp? Let's stop and do the stomp.
Right.
Let's go ahead and stomp our feet and really get it out, and then we'll try again in a few minutes. That's an example.
Right.
Rather than
it's a method to translate for the whole spectrum of kids' life and everything.
Yeah, and for any emotional, really academic frustration, that's the way that I see it being used.
Yeah. You should have the book here and then have Adam pretend to be your child.
No, I could. He's going to be bitter because he's had a screwed up. His father wasn't really around. But I can remember reading books with my dad and mom. But at the moment, I wasn't in the mood because I felt they were being condescending to me. You was more me.
Right.
I would be yakking. I don't want to do this now.
Right. You get mad. You don't want to, and that's normal. But a lot of times, what parents do is they don't want to hear. They don't want to hear that the kid doesn't want to read or do their math. And so what happens is unwittingly they shut the kid down emotionally. Then what happens? The kid picks up the book and flings it across the room, or rolls on the floor, throws a fit, or wakes up in the middle of the night crying. Right. What's wrong? Oh, you have a stomach ache? Why do you have a stomach ache?
But their parents came down so hard on them they couldn't express it through normal means.
Well, they
I
don't
want to hear that.
Right, exactly.
Don't say it that way.
Don't say that. Never say that. You're lucky to have an education. You're lucky to live in Princeton or whatever it is.
Don't be spoiled. You're being lazy now. Stop.
Exactly. So it's really about bringing humor to it to help kids and parents.
And a common sense mechanism to kind of diffuse and get it out there and validate. You don't have to agree with everything, but you validate. Okay, you hit it, but why? What's going on?
Right. You allow that, right?
And
so Yeah, so I'm currently looking for a publisher.
Are you going to self-publish?
No, I'm not going to self-publish because
can help you with that. After Kurt asks a question, I don't want to.
Okay. No, I don't want to self-publish, and it's A, because I really want to get it out there, and B, with the sound chip, it's expensive to make a book. I've been doing some research, and it's pretty expensive. It's like at least $12 a book to actually even make the book. So I really need a major.
Especially limited run.
Well, I don't want it to be a limited run. I need a major publisher.
Yeah, but let's say you wanted 500 copies, just 500 copies.
The series.
It's a series. I hate to read. I've already written I hate math. And we're going from there. The third,
I love it.
Third one is I hate these socks.
You could be a multi-millionaire. I mean, if you get it to take off.
Well, I think it should. I think it should catch fire because it's different. Nobody's written a book like this because it's not just for kids with learning differences or kids for ADHD. So it's not something.
I'm learning disabled. You can say
I am too. I have ADHD. So it's not just for those of us.
Dysgraphia,
dyslexia. Right. Exactly.
You can call me an idiot. I don't like.
I'm not going to call you an idiot. Then I'm calling myself an idiot. But anyway,
you know. We vain.
All right, you're stupid.
But that's really that's really what you say.
I'm already excited. I mean,
Thank you.
I talked to Tom. I talked to Tom Nestle today. He finally called me back.
Okay.
And he published Vioxx poison pills, and he said yes, you can contact him anytime you want, and everything. You know, see what he has to say. He's been through the game. Of course, you know. I guess you already know. You got to just kind of be tone deaf to the naysayers. Not that he's a naysayer, but you probably heard how difficult and crazy this.
I mean that's always there. The naysaying is always there, but you can't give up.
But I've read enough, and I've met publishers. People don't even see this. You could have the best idea, and these idiots don't see it.
Sometimes they don't. It's true. It's true. You know, so hopefully someone in the realm of children's books.
Oh, they don't want to risk it, and you know.
I want to.
Would you sleep with someone? Would you sleep with someone to get it?
I'm afraid not.
That's what it might take. I mean,
he's always fishing.
He's always fishing for that.
Now with me, I can't do it for you. Some of these big public. No, but what I was talking to some other people too. It's almost like Hollywood. That's why a lot of people. First of all, there's hardly any money to be made in books. That's why John Grisham's like the only one they'll actually publish.
Right.
But two, he was saying you get an underling working with you. He's so paranoid, or she's so paranoid that this might not work out. They'll nix it before anyone else can even hear about it. You know. Anyway, I'm sure you'll find out.
I want to write a children's book called I Hate People.
I hate people.
You do.
Well, you know what? A lot of children would actually relate to that. Kids that are on what they call now the autism continuum. They used to talk about Asperger's, which was the label for high functioning autism, and now the DSM-5. They've just said everything's on this continuum. But bottom line is hating people. Some kids really do hate people.
Where's
eye contact's the problem. You know, relating, and even people who are introverts, more introverts than extroverts, often find other people to be really draining and exhausting.
I think you should test him.
Why?
I think you might have a touch of it someplace.
Introversion or
Asperger's, or maybe it's just cynicism and hate.
They should test you to see if you're human.
Oh, so I'm excited. The book is called again, what?
I Hate to Read.
I'm really excited. I wish I could. I mean, I'm doing anything because I want to change my life and get out of this certain career I'm kind of in. And if I could attach to your star, if it could but I could just see this taking off.
Well, thank you.
Well, no one's doing it.
Yeah.
I just don't know about how hard it is to, to get off the ground.
It's really my belief is that it's networking, right? Fortunately, we live in such a wonderful, rich community. If someone themselves doesn't publish, they might know someone.
Right.
And networking with a lot of friends.
And just keep plugging and plugging until one person
nothing ventured, nothing gained.
Well, yeah, I mean.
It's kind of like Steve Jobs. He just kept on. It took him 120 phone calls. 120 a day.
Yeah.
And until one person goes, I kind of see this, and I see it in you too.
And, exactly.
And I'm willing to risk something.
Yeah.
How I look.
Yeah.
Well, in our final 30 seconds, Stacy Hoffer, because you're going to be here, but we're going to another segment because the amazing Sally Curtis Tazelaar, who doesn't deserve your name because she makes this show so much better. I don't know if you do. Edits this. Sharon does too, but I like to knock on Sharon.
Oh.
You think since he's having coitus lately, he'd be calmer, but
you'd think so.
Is coitus
the
right way?
Usually sedative, you know.
Did I say coitus right?
I think you got it.
You should have said gesundheit.
So we'll be going to the next segment in 10, 9, 8, 7,
15,
6, 5,
20,
3,
100.
All right.
Coming right at you, Princeton, with the most controversial, should I say, vivacious and lucid conversation. He's done this 3 times. I don't find it funny. This is a man who's lived in his basement, suddenly emerged maybe after 30 years. He was in the Anne Frank period.
You could at least say gesundheit.
Gets married, and again, you think because he had coitus.
You'd think that would.
I love that word for some reason, coitus. It sounds so good.
You
It would be a little calmer.
Mr. Whitesnake here.
We're back again. We have Raya, our fashion style consultant, but she's back to discuss about something even more important. And I'll try to, my wife warned me, don't make jokes about gays, HIV, because I'm still a dinosaur. I'm
Those
not
are some of
politically
the
correct.
funniest things going.
Yeah, fudge packy. So maybe I warn you, if that's something you can take and you're going to run to Her Majesty's police to protect you, then just turn off the TV. You know, would you call it gay
How
Jew?
can they turn off the TV when it's already off?
Yeah, but you do have a point. What do they call a gay Jew?
No idea.
Adam.
A Hebrew.
A
Take
Hebrew.
that, politically
Adam.
correct people.
That's
Gays like me though. When I
I
lived
like
in
that.
D.C., I lived in DuPont Circle. They were all. But anyway, we have to be somewhat serious, I guess. HIV is a topic, and Raya, what is your expertise right now? Why are we talking about this?
well, since I used to work in a hospital setting, and then I was a certified HIV tester, educator, and counselor. And then right now, I just recently got a job in Rutgers University. It's a division of HIV prevention in Rutgers in Newark, and I provide basic skills training and also we call it EBIs. It's called Effective Behavioral Intervention trainings for agency staff that handles like counseling for HIV positive or high risk HIV negative individuals all throughout the state.
Like a clearinghouse of
Yeah.
information.
What are the big problems happening right now?
Well, the big problems right now, it's still like when you go to the CDC.gov, like HIV at a glance in the United States, it's still more than 1.2 million in the United States are still living with HIV. HIV is the virus that they have, and almost, if you can think about, like, it's 1 in 8 people are living with HIV. So that's about like 12.8%. And sometimes they're unaware that they are infected.
Now, of course, the treatment has gotten so much better.
Exactly.
People can live,
Longer.
essentially, forever almost.
But if detected earlier,
If
detect-
detected
and with,
earlier.
Prep works.
and with the cocktail regimen and all
Exactly.
that.
That's why we.
But then people's guard goes down because, in the 80s when it first hit, it was this
death sentence.
scare of a death sentence.
Exactly.
So, but then people lapse with behavior.
Exactly, and that's
risking
what we're
things.
trying to. That's what the department, the State Department of Health, and the Rutgers School of Planning and Public Policy are doing. We have all these grantees agency that provides prevention, education, and also advocating early. That you have to be tested. That's why they provide free testing on those sites or agency that provides that services. They provide like a risk reduction education and also harm reduction for the people that are not ready to like really stop having sex, because there's a difference between risk reduction and harm reduction.
Yeah, what's the difference?
Risk reduction is totally you're not going to be doing it. For example, you want to have sex without condom, you cannot stop having sex. The risk reduction is like for you not to have sex. But if you are just contemplating about it, maybe your harm reduction is that you're going to use condom. You're not going to stop having sex, but you're reducing your harm and your chances of like acquiring the HIV.
So even using a condom, that's regarded as
but people don't
somewhat
even
risky?
they don't put on the condoms right a lot of times too. You have to educate them how to put a
We
condom properly.
educate when I was in a hospital setting, we educate while they're having, because it's a free service, the testing, like it's a CLIA wave test now, 20 minutes that you ask your providers. They can do the HIV test right there in the office and at your doctor's
Detect
visit.
it much earlier than it used to be.
Exactly, 20 minutes, and while that's going on, you can talk. We try to target the people that are high risk, and we talk to them like, how can you like be safer?
I have a question. I've
Okay.
heard, I was doing my research, something called Prep Works, and it's a pre-exposure prophylactic that if you take it all the time, you can almost minimized to make your chance of getting HIV. Is that true? No,
that's something that I just went to a symposium in Newark today.
So you can go wild and not have to worry about
That's
HIV?
the thing. That's like a two spectrum of the thoughts there when I was in the symposium, because it's really great for those high risk. So when we're talking about high risk negative, these are like the sex workers. The really gay, bisexual, MSM, like men sleeping with men population, usually African American, Black community, younger.
On the down low.
Yeah, there are like really, the statistics says that they are still acquiring this HIV despite all this prevention that
Because
we're
of
trying to do.
repeated exposure, going
Yeah,
wild,
it's still
like having
there.
30
It's-
partners, whatever.
It's a lot of like thinking about like housing, like their family support. They don't have that. They get like on the streets and they're hustling and they're doing sex work and all those kind of things. But the PrEP is like it's a great thing for to me, like this is my own opinion because I don't want to like stir up things. My own opinion, PrEP will only work if you found someone who's living with HIV and you want to be with that person. That's
In a
something that can
committed
protect
relationship.
you. But for me, it's not like a license for you to be promiscuous and just sleep with whoever and not thinking about safer sex and like risk reduction and harm reduction. Because like that Truvada, I think that it's from Gilead Lab that they tried to. There's only one FDA approved prophylactic like the PrEP. I think it's just gonna be useful for people like that have loved ones that are having or living with HIV. It should not be a license for you to like just go sleep with anyone you want and just be not safe at all.
In the U.S., though, is HIV still more gay people, or is it inner city? Is it drug users?
It's definitely inner city, and a lot of people. It's like what I told you. It's still gay, bisexual, and MSM.
Oh, you said that right.
They still have that. Black, by race, Black African American face the most severe burden of HIV, and then for the straight, the heterosexual and injection drug users. So it's not only through sex. If you're into drugs and you're a drug user, they're still affected by it.
So if you're a female in the inner city, and I saw this in some of the work when I was working in Trenton, females were at risk because they got guys who were in jail doing things on the down low, and then they came out. They didn't want to wear condoms because they're all macho, and they didn't tell their girlfriends what
exactly.
was
So
going on.
what we do in with the Division of Prevention, HIV prevention in Rutgers, we have like certain programs, effective behavioral intervention. You don't have to be HIV positive to go through those intervention. We have SISTA, it's like really targeting the women, African American, Latinas. We have the 3MV, like basically for young African American men that are living the high risk, and there are those in those geographical area that's really high risk.
How do you reach these target groups that are most at risk? I mean, you have an office, people can come in, but you want to go out to them.
And like as a psychiatrist too, how do you say something that gets their attention? When I'm 21, especially, sex is biologically driven. You can, and some of these people might be self-destructive. You're doing drugs and alcohol. You party. You do things. That's how we have unwanted pregnancies. How do you reach it? Yeah.
And sometimes it's not just about like, oh, I'm horny, I want to have sex. Sometimes like there are sex workers, not just gay, transgender, gay, bisexual, that hustling because they need the money to
But they're
food
desperate.
and like shelter.
Right.
So they're doing that, not only just sex. What we do is like there's a lot of agencies throughout the state of New Jersey that does this early prevention and the testing, and then we have like a syringe exchange program. They have a lot of programs about like disclosure or treatment adherence, self-care or healthcare, sexual risk reduction, and also your substance use reduction.
But are you going to have a follow-up to see how it works? Especially sex workers on the street. How do you follow up with them? I mean,
They
it's
do.
so hard.
Like we cannot force anyone to be to go through those EBIs that we call the effective behavioral interventions. It needs to be like they are willing to do it. But we have other programs that they can have, like they can go to the agencies and have condoms, free condoms.
I like that.
There's also
just pick it up.
Yeah, there's also mobile units that provide the HIV testing to know your status. So that's very important because people will not go, especially if you're in the area that's like really underprivileged, to go through your doctor, or you might not even have a doctor insurance. So we go to the agencies, go to those places and reach them.
At least it's the beginning of giving them an outlet and a choice. And then
There's
also
a lot of like things going on now, but there's still a lot of things that we need to do for this.
You say you've had patients though in your.
Certainly over the years I've had people affected by HIV. It's not my specialty area, but just working with families and adults for the last 25 years, and it's scary, and it's tragic, and I don't know, it's obviously a huge multifactorial problem.
Exactly.
Right? It's not just remember to use a condom, but there's that sounds so simple, but it's not
exactly.
that simple.
It's not simple as just using condoms.
Right.
For example, you are in a partnership you have a partner or a boyfriend or a girlfriend that doesn't want to use condom.
Right.
It's an accusation, and sometimes they just like, okay, or sex workers that even if they have condoms there, and then the guy that picked them up don't want to use condoms. What are you going to do?
Do you want this to eat?
That's a little high, but sometimes just $5 just for things.
Wow.
That's how bad it is.
So that's really
they're gonna take that risk for $5. So what we teach them is like really like behavioral change.
Yeah.
That you need to be like more empowered to like communicate, even if because we cannot go there and tell them stop hustling or being in the street, because like what are you going to do? You're going to feed them, or you're going to give them a job? There's a lot of problems. They need shelter, they need food, they need jobs.
It's a multifaceted
and most of these
thing.
people is the education. They don't even finish their school or junior high.
And I think,
school.
unfortunately, a lot of them, no matter what you do, you know more than they're in a self-destructive spiral.
Exactly.
Which is pretty hard to arrest. I bet.
It is tough.
They don't care. I mean, and deep down, there's a numbness, I'm sure, for some of them, and they're hustling and they're trying to pay and everything. But going from that, then should we feel bad for Charlie Sheen? Charlie
I
Sheen,
don't
if you
think
don't
that
know.
I will feel bad, because it's a choice. It's like he lived those times that HIV was not even known, and it was like a gay disease, and they're all wondering what's that disease. A lot of people die, and a lot of education and initiatives and efforts has been done for HIV education and prevention. And in 4 years ago, 2011, he still contracted the disease because of his behavior.
Oh yeah, he probably didn't even know what he's doing half the time.
Yeah.
Probably using needles and.
Well,
he's
he
in a
does have a
position
drug
where
history,
he's going to
right?
get
Yeah,
it
this was
taken care
porno
of, and
and-
he'll have a
That's
normal life
one-
expectancy.
That's one good point.
It's not
because
even. They say it's not even detectable in his bloodstream right now.
That's what he says, because
Okay.
like when you are in those HIV medications, you can be undetectable. So, but it doesn't mean that you cannot infect anyone, because HIV it's a virus. It's
a virus.
human immunity
Lives.
deficiency virus that if you have sex with someone who has that and their viral load is really low, so your risk for acquiring the HIV or transmitting HIV is low, but it's still there. You want to take that risk? It's up to you.
No, that sounds like as my dad often said.
But it doesn't mean that he's cured, because
Right.
he cannot at all transmit the disease to anyone.
It doesn't
'Cause
mean
that's
he-
what I think the media is saying, that he's okay, that he did not at all transmit it to anyone.
That's what he's
maybe
saying,
maybe that's
right?
his, maybe
And
he's
he's
a good
saying that,
PR.
yeah.
He's a good PR guy.
Yeah, and he's
person.
saying that he's into this expensive HIV medication, but like right now, a lot of programs throughout the United States. They have that program that you can have that same medication that he's talking about. It's not only for rich people, white people. That you can.
I think that Charlie was about to be exposed, and he had to
That's
come
what
clean.
happened. That's what he said. He's going to be blackmailed. It's like almost like 100
Oh, he did say
thousand
that.
already. It already happened, but
Oh.
it continues to happen. And he said like he just want to like put it out there, but he's
Right.
giving the public a wrong information about HIV.
How so? What is incorrect?
Like what he said that he cannot, because
It's
of his,
undetectable.
he's in HIV.
No, when I read that, it's like-
undetectable, that he cannot transmit it to anyone. But
Right,
there's
so
still
that's
that
not
risk.
accurate,
He's
right?
cured. Yeah, well,
Okay.
at least the impression without saying it, he's cured. Because I read that.
Yeah.
Oh God, this is amazing what they're doing with this
And
cocktail.
also, in fairness to him, they're saying also that this is an AIDS cover-up. There's a difference between HIV
And full-blown
and
AIDS.
full-blown AIDS.
Like George Michael. Now,
So-
no one watches the show, so I can say I think George Michael has full-blown AIDS, and no one comments
Does
on
he?
that. I think. Yeah. Well, last time I saw him. In our final 20 seconds, Raya, what we can say. So, what do you do again, Raya? In the final?
Well, I just want everyone to be more aware. You can volunteer to those agencies. They can visit the Rutgers HIV prevention site. Just type it in Google, Rutgers HIV. It will go straight to the page of our division in Rutgers University. We do a lot of things for these agencies and all for this population that really still needs attention regarding HIV
Right.
prevention and education.
So if you feel this, so truly, even if you're out of it, your life is bad, you're a sex worker, you're desperate, whatever, there is help, and you're not alone. That's the most
Exactly.
important thing. You
Yeah.
can get help. God, I was being serious and empathetic.
Yes,
Right.
what happened?
Well, I'll come back and I'll go back to my old self. We'll discuss what's going on after you do your best, your style report. We'll discuss what's happening on the Princeton campus. This is Breezin with Bierman. Be right back. Again, cutting edge show. If anyone watches it, much interesting. Some of
Oh, no.
Another one.
Oh, not again.
I watch other shows, and I have to say, I'm not going to name names. Some of the shows on Princeton TV, they nice, sweet people that try and hoard, but they look like they came from the morgue. Let's be honest.
It's true.
It's true. Thank you.
It's really true.
Thank you. And I'm being as nice as I mean. It's just like you want to stick your finger in a light socket just to get away from them.
I see dead people.
It's like, so how long have you been dredging Carnegie Lake? Well, dredging's quite interesting. You know, we don't do that here, you know, and stuff. But what we do have, we have again the mysterious Raya. She has come back again. After talking about HIV, she goes from that so diverse and so strong to another serious topic, but a little more frivolous.
Yes.
A serious topic. Yeah, right.
It is serious.
It is serious,
Yeah.
Kurt.
Here's some fashion trends.
no.
Christmas is coming up.
Do an Anna
so a lot
Wintour.
of people are
Do a
dressing
demo
up as
proud on
Christmas
him.
trees.
Come on.
Do a devil proud on him.
I see you're dressed as a Christmas
You
tree.
just think
Yes.
you're a snob. This is reverse snobism. Like, he's not affected by fashion. Well, probably not, but you know, it affects.
Huge
I
part of
think
the
he is.
economy.
Yeah,
There's a lot of dollars in
And
fashion.
how you look, it affects
It
you.
does.
If it goes down to Old Navy.
Exactly.
Yes. Yes. All right. So tell us.
Tell us, what's
You
on
guys are
today?
flunking Logic 101.
Well, welcome back again to What's Trending with Raya Arpiol, our holiday edition. So today we're going to be talking about party
Party on,
Party
guys!
guest protocol. It was not in the screen, but it was party guest protocol. So we're gonna dissect this in two parts. So pre-party to-dos. First of all, RSVP.
I know the Kurt made you mad.
I know. RSVP. So as soon as you receive an invitation, create an alert on your phone. Like for after 2 days that you receive that, respond right away. And also you can like think about it if you really want to go or not. But definitely put an alert in your calendar if you're not using a smartphone or any digital Outlook devices. Put it in your calendar that you have to respond to those party invites so that you will not forget. And
I just tell them to drop dead.
oh my God,
That's why you have
that's
so
why you
many
don't get any
invitations.
invites.
Oh.
Yeah. No, and I think he's exactly right. This way, there's no excuse not to know. And if you're really busy and you want to be on top of it, it organizes for yourself.
Exactly.
And you know who's coming.
But
who's
also
not
don't
coming.
RSVP right away because you're gonna look like that you're so excited for their party and you know you just want to like play it like hard.
Oh, you have to
get.
play it
You
cool.
look
Yeah.
different if you call
Yeah.
them right back and say, "Oh, I'm so
exactly.
excited." Okay.
And then the second part
I
is
guess I've looked pretty bad a couple times.
go back.
Go back.
We have to pick up a hostess gift.
Yes.
So other than wine, I have like fantastic ideas what to bring.
How about beer?
You can do that, but other than wine and beer.
Don't- You should
So
talk.
first-
You shouldn't talk.
First idea is get a cool treats. Like, you know, you can bring ice cream or any Sunday essentials that you can like make up things there. So also, second one is flowers 2.0. This is not really flowers. Like bring some spices or, you know, like those cilantro, thyme in a beautiful pot.
I like bringing a Christmas tree.
No, not that. Like some people
Too
don't
big?
use
Sounds
Christmas
like
tree.
a Christmas cactus, for example.
You can
would
do
be
that.
I
nice.
That's
don't
a
think
great
Kurt can be
idea.
on these segments anymore.
No.
Okay.
I have a question. Culturally, it's a broad question. Do you think it's inappropriate if you don't bring a gift? Where in America is it?
You have to. It's like it's just
I think you have
customary.
to.
Yeah, it's really customary that if you get invited to
Some kind of.
some kind of party, whatever it is, you have to bring something.
Right, right.
I
And-
bring myself.
And then another third idea that what you can bring other than drinks are morning after kit.
What's that?
Yeah,
Morning after kit are you can
Sounds like HIV.
bring back
Coffee and
I know,
aspirin or
not
something?
that. It's not that's a morning after pill. This is the
Oh.
morning after kit. You can like put a beautiful basket of box of cereals, 2 mugs, and a freshly ground coffee because they will appreciate that after like you know planning the
Your
party.
style.
Apples with
And
razor blades
then
in
the
them.
last one for pre-party hostess gift idea is digital memory. So there are websites there that you can get gift cards and then you can give the gift card, like Uprising, Artsy, something online. And then the hostess, they can make up a photo book of like what happened that night. So that's a
Oh, that'd
great
be cool.
idea.
The next day, too.
The next day,
and,
too.
And then you can blackmail them for it.
You can do that, but you're just giving the gift card.
You can make a good impression on people, too.
Exactly.
If you're
So
doing
that's a
business,
great
people you
idea.
want to cater to.
Especially if you're doing like a holiday party for your bosses or coworkers, that's a great
Or you
idea.
get someone on the show and you can do it. Yeah, something.
Yeah, exactly.
neat.
So those are our pre-party to do. So next up is party going. So first of all, when you go to a party, make an entrance. Just
I mean, you come in the door.
yeah, make an entrance.
I
It's
always-
like
I drop-
I'm fabulous and I'm making an
You
entrance.
I drop
open
from the
yourself
ceiling.
up to a different way of looking at things for once.
And these are the coming ideas. Be on time-ish.
But not on the dot.
Not on the dot, like around 15 minutes within the time that the
In
your host is
America,
there.
I think it's 15 minutes is
15
good.
minutes
We're
is
more-
great.
we're
Don't
more-
come early because
Oh.
you don't want your host like still preparing and
Oh.
then you're
And-
already
and
like ringing the
curlers.
bell and you're there
Oh,
already.
That's
When
So
people do
cardinal
that, do
sin.
show chagrin towards them, or people ever come
Yeah,
over.
it's like-
you're in your underwear and
Yeah,
put on the
exactly.
bra.
I just
It's like more
watched-
pressure for your host.
Yeah, there was
Or
an
hostess.
episode of The Office where they went early to a big corporate shindig, and the CEO's wife came out like in a towel, and she's, "We're early."
Exactly.
Because only the good friends come early. That's why we're early. So now, because we're early, we are good friends. That's what Michael Scott said.
No, unless you were told to come like early to help them out,
Yeah.
don't come like really early. Another tip to make an entrance: smile. Always smile when you get to the door.
Bah
Don't, like-
humbug.
Yeah, don't tell people that you are, oh, it's raining cats and dogs, oh, it's so traffic out there. Just when you get to the door, just smile. The next one is remove your shoes if asked. It doesn't matter if you're like wearing like unpaired socks
There you
or
Oh, would you get
you
that
didn't
off
do
the
your
table?
pedicure.
Oh,
If
disgusting.
the hostess tell you to remove your shoes,
You know-
do so. And it's like culturally like being culturally sensitive as well.
And
Some
also,
culture
even I
does
have to
that.
say, I guess my old age, in the wintertime, it'd be nicer when people do, because you bring in so much stuff in the wintertime.
Exactly.
Ice, snow,
But then
dirt.
the question is, if you're the host or hostess, do you have a nice basket of slippers there for
Yes.
people? Because I know for me, that if I have to take my shoes off, it's a real problem because I got frostbite on my feet about 20 years
You
ago,
want
and they're
people to see
always
it?
cold.
Oh,
No, it's not.
you
There's
want it to
nothing to
double.
see, but my feet can turn to ice cubes in like 2 minutes,
Right,
and so I'm really in trouble if I don't have. So if I know somebody
Mm-hmm.
is if I know it's friends that are going to ask to take the shoes off, then I often bring
Why
my
is
own
someone
slippers.
calling
Yeah,
me?
do that.
Can I take this? Is that
Oh, you
rude?
can take that. I'll just keep
that.
going.
Hello?
The next up is our
We're
next
on the
part.
show right now.
This
You
is
can hear
our get the conversational ball rolling.
Yes.
This is like how can you talk to people? Because some of the parties you go to, you don't know all the
Right.
people. So these are some of my tips, opening lines that you can use. I love your
Nose.
nose. Where did you get it? You can start by doing
going to
so.
the movies?
And then also you can like it's being polite as well. It's like you're hitting it two birds
Okay.
at the same time. You're like complimenting them
Oh.
and then you want to start talking to them. And then the next one is
Okay.
you can ask what are your holiday
go.
plans? 'Cause
Well, they
it's
went to
gonna
the party. That's the
be-
holiday
yeah,
plan.
holiday plans, so you can go somewhere else
Duh.
after that. And then the third one is what are you reading or listening to or watching these days?
Well, listen to
These are
you.
really good. Exactly. Go listen to me at Raya Ardell
Adam, your
on
phone's
Twitter.
ringing.
And then the last stop is party going. How can I help? So some of us
Oh,
like
be
would
tech
like
free.
yeah.
You mean don't take phone calls?
Yeah,
while
some
you're
of
dealing
us
with
will
a client?
always
You
want,
mean
yeah.
like that?
Because sometimes you always want to ask, like, oh, how can I help you? But you know what? Some hostess and hosts, they don't want to, it's kind of offensive. You're trying to help them because they want to do it all. But these are some of the tips that you can do. Be tech free. Because when you put out your phone, it's contagious. Everyone will start looking at their phones, smartphones. And the reverse
You
effect
know,
is
I
also
read it,
contagious.
they run with the herd. People, it's like yawning. They start doing it too. Or
Exactly.
they feel like subconsciously they're allowed to do it
So
now.
put it
Or
away, start conversing with other people.
I have a
and do
way
it
of
like
preventing that. I don't have a cell phone. So.
Also, like you can be a secret doer instead of like just asking the hostess. Just do it yourself. Pick up some litter on the floor, change the toilet paper roll, things like that.
Can I flush your toilet?
And the
Just
next
one.
one is be a herder. So if your host like saying that, oh, let's go eat. Usually nobody wants to like be the first one to be going to
Yeah.
the kitchen or like getting to the buffet
They walk,
table.
everyone's walking on eggs.
Yeah,
They're starving.
be a herder.
Yeah.
Start going if you were asked. And then last stop is like be welcoming. So when you see a lonely person in the group, just go and say hi and then start conversing with them.
We have like 30 more seconds, right? These
Okay.
are great tips. Now you see why Kurt has been invited to houses in Princeton, but only one time,
Wow.
and everything. And I think these are great tips and
Usually I'm a
techniques
paid guest.
and stuff.
Wow.
It's remedial for you, Kurt. It's
And
remedial.
and
I have a service.
we might have, in our next meeting, we might have to talk about removing Kurt from this segment, but I'll be up to her, Raya.
Says the guy who
You have
takes
the final
phone
say.
calls on his
Okay.
own show.
We'll think about that.
We'll think about that because it's your segment, and we'll be right back. A roundtable talking about issues centric to Princeton.
See, it was funny, right? It was funny.
That one is funny.
Yeah.
I'll give you that.
You have so much earwax in your ear.
What?
Talking things that are centric to Princeton, but since Princeton is part of this bigger world, will affect world discourse too. Issue 1. Minority students and probably other people took hostage, one might say, sitting at Nassau in protesting racism. I'm not sure exactly what the racism is all about. I have my doubts. I have to say it seems to me what they were protesting about was somewhat superficial, not against structural racism. Structural racism to me would be like of a group was being discriminated against consistently with grading, being admitted to school, being harassed on campus by police or something. But
Was that happening in Princeton University?
I don't. What I'm seeing, what I'm hearing, what I read is like they want Woodrow Wilson because he's into the eugenics and was racist for his time. They want his name taken off. They wanted a safe, I think for black students, a safe spot for them, which I think is BS. Like they want to annex a spot where they feel safe. What are we, 2 years old, where they can probably just propagate only things they want to talk about. And I think what the third thing is. But again, to me,
There's already a third world center there, right?
but yeah, I don't know what they call it anymore. To me, though, I think a lot of this seems superficial. I'm not black. I'm not saying, but I'm sure on the Princeton campus there's a black tax. There could be a slights, but there's slights against a lot of people.
Okay, let me play devil's advocate. Okay, you look at Woodrow Wilson, easily the most racist president of the 20th century. Now, he was a Princeton alumni, Princeton professor, and then
Visionary political leader.
President of Princeton. He did big things as a president, but he did things like he resegregated Washington, D.C.
He believed in eugenics.
And I mean, he really did some despicable things. So when you've got major institutions there named after him, like Woodrow Wilson Hall, it's a fair topic.
No, fair topic, but still superficial. Again, I want to see things attacked, structural racism
Exactly.
attacked, and with systems afterwards to deal with it. My guess is a lot of this might be a little bit frivolous and a lot of rhetoric.
Or are they just riding the bandwagon because of what happened
Right.
in Mississippi?
And they want to feel
and all
important.
that,
and
like same thing that's going on.
Adam, could you explain for those who don't know what eugenics is?
It started with eugenics. I think it started the guy did the modern SAT. I just forgot his name. I read a whole book on this. It was looking at maybe how to identify and maybe marginalize or get rid of people they identify as having low IQ to have a better race. And Lindbergh was into this topic and stuff too, and Woodrow Wilson was into it.
So like a little bit of social cleansing.
Yeah, social engineering.
Yeah.
Social engineering.
Right.
Lovely.
And we had cases. I mean, for lack of a better word, white trash. It was in the 30s and 40s, even up to the 60s. Poor white people being sterilized without not knowing it. Black people were being sterilized without knowing it.
Wow.
Experiments were being done on these marginal classes. Like VD, they infected blacks with VD. I forget that.
Right, I remember
all in the
that
name of
study,
science,
right,
and
right.
it's pretty despicable things. And these are things that are, should be. But on campus, a lot of this stuff has been taken over by a liberal class. I don't see them as really having, again, substantial issues. I think they want to just shout down, take over, and cry out that their feelings have been hurt.
So you don't think they have any teeth in this, is what you're saying?
And from what I'm not there.
Yeah.
I just don't hear it.
You
I don't hear it.
Okay.
And I don't care. At the end of the day, I wouldn't want to be, especially I was talking to you earlier when Princeton started affirmative action, one of the last Ivy League universities to have it. It must have been a culture shock for some of these black students from maybe black inner city areas to go there. I mean, that's hard. But at the end of the day, as long as no one's stopping you from getting your education, which they're at one of the premier universities in the world. And so someone looked at them funny and said, "Why are you here?" He's an asshole. So what?
All right, well, so I have another devil's advocate point, which is that, it's easy for you to say, as a Caucasian man, right?
No,
I
not
mean,
really. I mean,
no, but it is. It's like because you haven't lived the black experience and neither have I. So it's like, how can you know what you're criticizing deeply enough?
I know that the choices have to be made, and I still say, you know what, I can be empathetic. I mean, yeah, no, blacks of any group in this country, they had apartheid. They were marginalized. This town had covenants up to the 60s and early 70s where blacks could live. Blacks couldn't get jobs here.
Yeah.
I mean, but they fought for real issues. I think it's a waste of time and effort, and I think it's a lot of overheated political rhetoric. And again, I don't trust them because I see at other campuses, like at Yale, illiberal idiocracy is taking over.
Yes.
Well, you know,
Where they talk about feelings and issues, and it's a way to get power almost.
I think the university might rename the Woodrow Wilson School, but you want to look at John Witherspoon. There's Witherspoon Street, and there's a Witherspoon statue, and he was a great liberal theologian and a very important president of Princeton.
Oh, he set the new curriculum.
And
Wilson also was great.
He owned 2 slaves. I mean, he literally owned 2 human beings. So, if they want to make an issue out of it, fine. We a lot of our money, our first president, Washington, he owned slaves also.
Right. So it's not black and white.
Well,
pardon the pun, but it's not.
Where does it extend to?
Well,
we're removing people from public
Also,
celebration.
my point is this: it might have, whatever. All these white people, like Washington, sold a black woman for I think a barrel of butter. My point is this: these people set the table. Woodrow Wilson still did a lot of great things. No, would not even fly today, and it shouldn't. It flew back then. Where are you going to draw the line? How far are you going to go? I would personally pick another topic to go after. Is my point.
In some ways, you can regard the issues as manufactured. Okay, it's kind of like it's cool to protest things and just sort of find a niche and a lot of power with that. But it's kind of like what should be the real issues? What should be the real priorities?
When I think of people who went down to Selma, when I think of people who fought Covenant, who risked their jobs, their lives, and what is this blacks? They want their own space, and then they wanted everyone to go through, diversity or sensitivity training. Yeah, you're going to run that training. It sounds like, you're going to tell us how to live and how to think too, basically, and you know what to do. I mean, it's nonsense.
It becomes sort of a maximum politically correct thing.
Right.
Where earlier you were complaining about, say, at Yale, where they had these Halloween costumes, and and you have to be so sensitive about, if you dress up in anything that would be ethnic.
Because the whole thing's ludicrous.
Everything is racist.
Buck up, sissies. But they have power on campus. A lot of those kids, I think, have come. I mean, I think when political correctness started, it was needed. The pendulum was too far the other way. You could say the N-word. You could grab a woman's butt.
Right.
You could make a joke about women in the office and stuff. You basically said, we're only going to let 2 blacks, 3 Jews come in and everything. That was wrong. Now this pendulum on these campuses have just gone the other way. And unfortunately, presidents, it seems, they kind of they have to grovel a little bit to this because of the firestorm it creates and the 24/7 news media.
You have to be careful.
You have to be careful.
Well, and also if you think about it developmentally, right, the stage of life that college students are at, they're young. They could be as young as 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. And that's still part of adolescence, and
try telling them that.
Some of the, but I mean, we actually think adolescence goes to like age 25 or 27 now based on how the brain develops. And so part of that stage of life is, this is what we do, we have ideals and we work to change the world. That's just, so I'm not putting it down, but I'm just saying it's not a surprise in that sense.
And the college campus is this different environment
from
everything else in society,
totally
where
different.
These issues becomes,
they become ginormous because that's their whole world right now.
But I think in this I call it third wave of PC. I think I see some of the parents with their kids here at Princeton, they've been raised like so much in this bubble of we can't hurt feelings and the PC stuff. It's so ingrained to them. And then they want us to validate what I see sometimes as subjective feelings. I mean, at the producers meeting last month, it was mentioned how I had Hooter women, girls from Hooters, when dressed up and everything. And I'll never forget, in my mind, I've seen this before, this one woman's producer said, in kind of in a grandiose, pontificating way, as a feminist, I'm offended by that. And I'm going to say, I've seen this before, and I think what they're trying to do is they don't want to say censor. Even they know that's going too far, but I think they want to censor that. And they think they can maybe harass me into wanting to conform and go their way. And my response was, that's not an argument to me.
Exactly.
And stuff. To them, the argument ends. There's no discourse. It's not civil, and it ends if you disagree with them.
Well, right.
Exactly.
And that's over the top too, right?
Yeah, so
anything can become oppressive.
Yeah.
Even liberalism can become oppressive.
What's a liberal, and it has to be objective. These people, the woman who did this email at Yale saying, you know, maybe we let kids be. I think she's basically saying, look, be inappropriate. It happens. I don't want. I mean, she was spat on, yelled at. People are saying, I can't sleep because of this.
God,
I get the sense on Facebook.
People are dying.
I get the sense on Facebook that if you have an objection to 80,000 Syrian refugees coming over here, that you're a bigot.
Right.
I mean,
tell what happened to you.
Well, I don't want to go specifics, but you know, you get shouted down by intelligent people, and they use all caps. And, you know, who can just, you know, take this and that fact and put it together, but, you know, it's like, I'm sorry, I don't want 80,000 Syrian refugees coming here. It's just my gut feeling.
Well, for whatever reason, they automatically go to extreme. All of a sudden you become, they try to shout you down and I think intimidate you because they're hoping you'll say, I don't want to be called racist. I'm not going to talk because he called me racist and I don't want people to even think, you know. But you said you don't even bother arguing with them, which I agree.
Exactly. I'm not going to be able to convert them.
I call it
starting from there.
Yeah.
It's not even a conversation.
Yeah. I call it, as Mike taught, the illiberal idiocracy. But people go in these bright people go into these ideological trenches, and all of a sudden their brain stops thinking.
Right.
I find with
they don't even ask them, why do you say this? Does anyone ask
they
you
just
why?
attack you right away, right?
Yeah, my right-wing friends are probably more accepting of disagreement.
That's the sad thing.
Because they're the minority.
And quotes what I call my civil right-wing friends, and I disagree. But they'll ask me why, and they want to debate, and they want to hear something. But,
so why? Do you want to talk about it?
Yes, why?
No.
Okay.
Are you afraid?
No, I was making a side issues about the political correctness, and then that's one of the big political. And I think it could be a big election issue because it's very emotional.
Right.
And if Hillary Clinton is going to stand up there and say we've got to bring all these people over here, and even I think Ben Carson and Donald Trump are morons. But I'd be very if they're saying I don't want these people whom are a danger, and Hillary Clinton's going to bring them on over. Then it's something that, gosh, I mean, it's an election issue.
Issue 2.
All right.
Princeton, being a refugee town and fond of immigrants, might be bringing some of these Syrians over. Your feeling? What would you say if you had to write a letter to the town topics or Princeton packet?
I just said it. I don't want any of them.
Why? What is your? Let's break it down a little bit.
Yeah.
Why
not any of them? That's pretty black and white, isn't it?
Because they fit a profile of people. They come from a religion which is theocratic and violent, and it's from the words of its founder, who had sex with a 9-year-old. And if you look this up on Wikipedia, it's there, but you can't criticize him. And it's the Middle East. It's a series of theocracies, and they had democracy. The countries there that aren't theocracies would become theocracies, and they don't come over here to escape the oppression of the religion. No, they want economy, but they bring that mentality of Sharia law and all of that theocracy, and it's not just ISIS.
You know this. Without exception.
Well, I think generally speaking, but my question would be, out of that 80,000, how many could actually carry through, support, or aid and abet terrorists? I don't know.
Well, right, and where's the humanitarian side?
So we'll take them all, okay.
I'm not saying that I don't, my mind
we're having
is not made up.
We're having civil
Boston Marathon bombing. Okay, my opinion is after 9/11, Muslims should have been profiled, and we shouldn't have taken in more Muslims.
Or profiling them forward.
Now the Sarnias. The Chechens, Muslims, they came here, and that's what they did, okay?
They got radicalized here, though.
Yeah, they got because of the nature of the religion, and we have to respect that. If these aren't the Amish that we're bringing over, it's people that have a book called the Quran, which tells people to do these things. If you read the article in the Atlantic, a liberal publication, about ISIS is very faithful to the Quran. I mean,
the literal interpretation.
Yeah, that the Prophet Muhammad was a warlord, killed 900 Jews.
Well, he killed by conversion.
And said things like, kill anyone who isn't a believer.
Okay.
Also,
so when they act nutty, they're just being faithful to their religion.
And when you die for Allah,
you're going to heaven. That's another thing.
Right.
They have a big belief in hell, and they have a big belief in heaven. And they really believe in these things. And we should take them seriously. When they say Allahu Akbar, I mean, when they're killing people, no, it's not a political thing, it's a religious thing.
Absolutely, I agree. It's a religious thing. I guess
No,
I just don't want to, I don't want to overgeneralize.
Yeah, no, my question
concern.
is we got to balance, we want to keep our ideals. At the same time, how much of a threat it really is. I think more of a threat, if I can throw a little more, is more when we have a lot of these people who come over as legal immigrants. We have to look at that then. I mean, how far do we go? Also, I think a lot of the threat comes from, from what I've read, is mostly Middle Easterners who come here on college visas.
Right.
And they're the ones who start.
They're the ones who
aid and
educating
abet,
them,
and they also they're who have statistically aided and abetted terrorism because they raise money and give safe haven.
The very first World Trade Center bomb conspiracy, one of them was a Rutgers student.
Really?
Yeah, that was 92. Right. Muslim.
So you'd rather overdo it and be wrong and marginalize them because it's enough of a risk, you're trying to say.
Right. It's as if there's a bunch of Nazis, and not all Nazis are bad. Only but if you're going to bring them all over, guess what you're going to get? And you're bringing the ideology over. You're bringing the belief.
Exactly. Are we really taking that risk?
I don't
as
want
a nation,
they can
that's
stay over there. They can go to Qatar.
Are we on a war footing and we have to take more extreme measures than we would want to in a more liberal society?
And why United States need to take them?
Yeah,
why just go to
Saudi
other
Arabia is
countries?
not going to take them.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Why it's always us?
Being nice to them is not
Well,
going to
Europe's
change
taking a lot, too.
their belief in a totalitarian theocracy.
What's funny though, European countries who actually need bodies, like Eastern European ones, they're the ones who say that they're blunt though. They're more like homogeneous. They're not Christian. We don't want them. They've been saying that.
Sweden has taken a lot.
Yeah, I'm talking about Eastern European.
I know you're
Eastern
talking
European,
about Eastern Europe.
And then
but
Sweden
it's curious. I mean,
and Norway and they've had their problems though, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious about that because I have some good friends who live in Sweden, and to see what their feeling is about it. They're Swedish,
to me, it's managing risk. It's not an ultimate answer.
Exactly.
Because the French have a lot to blame. I've been to France, and they're not into multiculturalism. They talk about, in my opinion, when I've been to Paris, but they treated a lot of those Muslims horribly.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, like, I've met Muslims. I heard this story more than one time. When they would go to a job interview, maybe their name wasn't, maybe they kind of Frenchicized it. The interviewer said, "Oh, if I'd known you were a Muslim, I wouldn't even schedule the interview. Please leave." They can get away with that stuff.
Right.
I mean,
so then they face the cultural rejection, which only reinforces their
beliefs
that you're talking about, Kurt. That you find
and they don't belong to the other country. And you come from a mysterious South Asian country where you have a problem on one island of Mindanao.
Yeah,
they're nuts.
We have those factions as well, like in the southern Philippines, Abu Sayyaf, and
they're nuts. They're crazy.
They just beheaded one Malaysian national, and they are funded by ISIS too, and they praise ISIS.
And that's the thing.
Everywhere.
They don't want to talk. There's no talking. There's not a getting to yes with them, and that's one thing about a lot of these Muslims. Now, one thing I do see, and I agree with Kurt. I don't have the numbers. Some of those Syrians who will come over, a lot of those guys are like, "We're here. We're making money. It's cool. But we're gonna bide our time.
Yeah.
These infidels, these women. Your way of life sucks. You're infidel."
And it happened already many times. So it's not something.
The Syrian migrants are overwhelmingly young males. I mean, this is according to United Nations statistics.
No,
it's not. These things, yeah.
Well, it's certainly very different. It's a completely different culture than the West. There's no question about it.
And we're going to need police protection once we enter. Some of, for instance, become this totalitarian thought, and now we're going to be seen as hate mongers. Maybe not you, because you just ask questions.
Will somebody pull the plug on this show?
Okay, that's been our final minute.